Campers, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees. From Friday the 13th, I'm here with AJ, and he's got the juiciest slice ready for you. It's dripping with blood. Jason never dies.
What makes a horror film kill memorable, terrific, even in some way profound or poignant? Let's explore. Thanks for checking this out. If anything about it trips your fancy, please like, subscribe, and share.
Oh, yes.
Without further ado...
Who is this?
Jennifer. She's the only thing I ever cared about.
Psychopath Ricky isn't one to ruminate too much on the past, but Jennifer? Jennifer's worth ruminating on. Why? The way Ricky tells it.
One day, we just bumped into each other.
Their meeting was something more, something kismet. A real banger. Jennifer is the sort of woman why words like pulchritudinous were devised, because pretty, beautiful, and gorgeous fail to do her justice. A single shot proves not only that, but that she's eminently photogenic too. It's not all that surprising that even if he had a broken bone sticking out of the skin, under the gaze of such a tantalizing specimen, Ricky's pride and machismo wouldn't allow him to show even a hint of damage.
I see how you can make a weak man stupid.
Thank you.
Were it a mortal injury, he would die smiling his widest. She's just that fetching.
She was a knockout.
Without us being privy to a word between them, the film has other ways to show how upon that first meeting, they became inseparable. On his crotch rocket, emphasis on crotch, they bond over closeness and scenic drives, leading to passage into a tunnel. A shot that isn't at all evocative or suggestive, unless you assume it means sex. Bunny's going to bunny, and it looks like they bunnied extra hard. Since Ricky rendering his V-card to Jennifer was such a quick exchange, he maybe assumed she had forgotten hers in her purse, and she would hand it over to him later. Because as first times go, he had his assumptions.
I thought it was Jennifer's too.
They hit the movie theater to catch the controversial new horror flick.
You know, I really like you, Ricky.
And it's obviously the right setting to profess those deep feelings, felt most strongly by the young.
You're different. I don't know what it is.
Ricky likes what he hears and goes in for a kiss. Only for mockery from a nearby jackass to ensue.
Go ahead, Studley. Kiss her. Ha!
The moment rained on, and not keen on having spectators besides, they refrained from engaging in a public makeout session, prompting even more derision.
I knew it. Faggot.
Not that there's anything wrong with being gay, but Jennifer is quick to defend her man against such unfounded accusations. His bedroom prowess more than enough proof he's attracted to women.
Well, we know that's not true.
Temper being tested at every turn, Ricky just wants to settle in and enjoy the film.
What did you say this movie was about?
Oh, it's great. It's about this guy who dresses up like Santa Claus and kills people.
Oh, it's based on all the crumminess in his backstory. That certainly bodes well, as the revelation paired with viewing the violent content quickly triggers the young man.
Punish.
Ricky, what?
With the sudden need to address the jackass seizing control, and showing how the past can always well up into the present and waylay good sense.
Next thing you know...
Naughty.
Jennifer is left alone and open to the attention of someone circling her like a hungry predator.
Guess who?
The young lady is unimpressed.
Chip. Yuck.
What a dude, bro. Whatever they had, it surely ended acrimoniously.
You haven't returned my calls, babe.
Imagine that.
What a warm body to give such a cold shoulder.
Saw your dad at the club. He said he hardly sees you anymore.
Like he cares.
So she's a disillusioned rich kid over her daddy's money, slumming it a little or a lot, being with a guy from the proverbial wrong side of the tracks like Ricky.
Eat shit.
Whatever she has going on, since it would be to her benefit, generous Chip can find it in his heart to take her back.
Oh, lucky me.
Too entitled to understand her ire, preppy, well-heeled Chip is taken aback.
What have I done to deserve this treatment?
What haven't you done, Chip?
Oh, she has a list.
You stood me up. You cheated on me. You ruined my best sweater.
Some fluids just won't wash out of certain materials.
And I would rather die before I go out with you again.
It was clearly a really nice sweater.
What are you trying to say?
Go away, Chip.
This is what it looks like when a kid never hears the word no.
Is this the same girl who pledged eternal love on the backseat of my car?
No matter how much he wants to give it to her, Jennifer isn't having it.
If you ever tell anybody about that, I will kill you.
Don't worry.
Take notes, ladies. A guy can be rich, charming, and drive a nice car, but that doesn't mean he won't exploit what he knows about you, if only to show he has some control.
It's our little secret.
Go away.
An assurance from such a man is about as valuable as a pocket full of belly button lint. Jennifer recognizes he's all valueless fluff, and strikes at the heart of his male ego.
I have a date.
Irrespective of her feelings, he maintains that never been told no persistence, turning to insults in a bid to undermine rival Ricky.
You mean Kong? Is he housebroken?
Nearby, the guy currently nailing her to the floor, wall, and bed is taking care of that other business. Wish fulfillment for anyone who's gone to a flick and been subject to rowdy theater goers. A lens into his underlying cowardice, Chip seems a little horrified at the violence exhibited, but is unwilling to do a damn thing about it.
Meter's running, Chip.
Unfazed by all that, Jennifer is more interested in Chip's escort for the evening.
Or are you using a credit card?
Oh, Roxanne?
So he's literally there with his current squeeze. Exes, right? Insufferable, obnoxious, maybe.
But I'll be home all summer.
But you have to admire his dauntless moxie.
Call me sometime. Gotta go after her.
I'll be busy.
Dauntless moxie.
I'll be waiting.
Calling a guy like him a douche would be an insult to douches. Merely at his touch, he would likely in some way sully of a JJ.
It's our little secret.
Oh, you're back.
With Chip out of their hair, and Ricky having worked out a lot of rage, they stay for the movie. But the next time they run into Jennifer's asshole ex, it will spell doom for them all.
If I'd known you'd sink this low, I never would have dumped you.
Chip, you're a jerk.
Not used to losing out, especially not to those he deems losers, Chip won't quit.
Why don't you just leave us alone?
Come on. Don't you miss me?
Does anyone other than Dude Bro feel like she hasn't made it clear enough?
All those good times we had together.
Chip.
Homecoming.
Chip.
Getting all wistful and nostalgic, for all his chill bravado, he sure seems pretty desperate to elicit feels.
The hayride.
Not one to shy away from confrontation, Ricky isn't the kind of guy you keep goading.
That's enough. Oh, it speaks. I said, that's enough.
Chip's mouth runneth over, spouting off what he surely considers a very clever and biting response.
That's what she said when I fucked her brains out in the backseat of old Red here.
Is it a surprise he's a lying sack of horse apples, leveraging information he swore he wouldn't divulge the second it suits him? Only one problem. Ricky doesn't play by recognizable rules, and his bite back is tenfold.
Young and stupid.
Rich Boy Preppy probably should have listened when she told him to go away, but since he can't conceive of underlings standing up to the presumed authority bestowed by his affluence...
Shut up!
Falling for me again, huh?
He doesn't realize he's fucking around, and is about to find out.
And you're...
Learning it altogether possible Jennifer's V-card resides in Chip's wallet, Ricky feels betrayed, and that means only one thing: time to rampage. Firstly, he wants to impart to the preppy, who always had it made in ways Ricky could only dream of, that some lessons are only learned firsthand, in the moment, and at the hands of monsters. Example, that for all the civilization around us, all the safety nets, all the protection, all the checks and balances, not everyone abides. In fact, monster types are the height of uncivilized, and will show it in heinous ways. With the supposed love of his life watching on, Ricky cranks the voltage. And Chip finds out it doesn't matter how expensive your car, big your bank account, or powerful your family's name. Maniacs do not give a crap. Now that's electrifying. Jennifer is maybe realizing motorcycle rides aren't a good replacement for real conversation. Oh, the perils of dating and hookup culture. One minute he's Mr. Right, the next he shucks the cheapy Mr. Right costume he bought off the shelf from the nearest big box store.
What are you doing? Are you out of your mind?
Maybe not taking into account the kind of monster she's dealing with, Jennifer loses herself more than a little.
You killed him!
Punishment is good.
I hate you, Ricky!
Punishment is absolute.
I hate you!
What a killjoy! By Ricky's reasoning, it was only a small faux pas, nothing to get bent out of shape about. What's a little murder of an ex between lovers? Who wouldn't agree Chip had it coming?
Alright, let's return from La La Land because...
Be that as it may, Jennifer views it as a boundary crossed, presenting herself as a dominant female when a chunk of his childhood was spent in a nun-run orphanage only triggers his PTSD.
Punish!
I wish I could say Jennifer gets away, that it was all misdirection, and the video is really about the intolerable Chip, but this is a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie, and in such, nothing works out for anyone. Once he has her snared, he's merciless, without reservation throttling her. Powered by a reservoir of rage filled over his whole miserable existence. Until he strangled all the life out of the only person he ever loved.
Freeze, asshole!
The lawman that happened along conveniently too late to save Jennifer is certain he can take charge.
Let's be real civilized about this. Okay.
Never let yourself get high on the power of a gun. Not everyone is all that intimidated looking down the barrel.
Now, I don't want to have to hurt you.
Oh boy.
All I'm going to do is slip these cuffs on. And no funny stuff.
This of course leads to one of the most infamous killing sprees in film.
I know how to use this.
culminating in a hilarious explosion. And the line that just keeps on giving.
Garbage day! No!
Sometimes, the component that elevates an exit to extraordinary, besides the mechanics of the kill itself, would be emotional underpinnings and heft, in an otherwise unsentimental enterprise.
If I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak.
I know, what am I talking about, emotional underpinnings? Jennifer's sad ending is taken from a clip film thrown together to exploit an existing property, to milk profits some would call undue. The thing is, the part of this flick that's not regurgitated directly from the first Silent Night Deadly Night is an oddly compelling mixture of peculiar character study, slasher-style kills, and a tale of star-crossed lovers, doomed by status divides, a twisted history, and an annoying ex who wouldn't get the hint. For a rather cartoonish series of escapades with fairly unnuanced two-dimensional characters, in its haphazard way, it shines a light on many societal issues. And unnuanced is a word that describes way too many traversing the world as little more than NPCs, non-playable characters for anyone not in the know, so it isn't exactly completely unrealistic.
Yep, that stands up to scrutiny.
Everything hinges on Ricky's, well, unhinged temperament. Zero anger control, impulsive to the extreme. He was a powder keg one spark away from blowing. So nihilistic he was ready to end it all on a whim. Ricky was insecure to a gross degree. It could probably be argued that his insecurity stemmed from a need for self-preservation, after a terrible life with few highlights before Jennifer came along, other than some vigilante-style killing.
I swear I'll pay it all on Monday. You won't live until Monday.
With some hints of sadistic slasher glee. That making gory examples of others stood in for normal rites of passage exemplifies the rockiness of his serpentine journey through what is essentially a personal hell, due most in part to his own confused, addled, and twisted mind. What a depressing life indeed. Raised in an isolated ecosystem, he was sidled with a stunted understanding of many aspects of life, maybe the social side most of all. This led him to operating under false beliefs. Foxy girls like Jennifer draw a lot of male attention, and many succumb to temptation regretfully young, and not necessarily to the best suitors.
I'm hungry.
How romantic.
But that doesn't warrant Ricky's disproportionate response. But he knew no better, buying into some fantasy version of how romance plays out, and when the fantasy was shattered, he was shattered, blowing up like a bomb, and sending shrapnel flying in every direction.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you recognize the signs of a possessive male.
Right at ground zero, Jennifer was the primary collateral damage of his resentment, disappointment, immaturity, and rage. Basically everything imparted by his inordinately bad life.
Give me a break.
So psychologically broken, tainted if you will, by all the terrible and strafing hijinks along the way, including being witness to his big brother getting shot down like a rabid dog. The implication was unambiguous. As soon as things started going good for him, he was inextricably doomed to self-sabotage and torpedo everything, resulting in confinement. An aggressively irksome ex, and learning he wasn't his girlfriend's first sexual partner, weren't good reasons to blow his whole life, but he judged everything through a very misaligned, very warped lens, and couldn't handle his negative feelings, even a little bit.
You like this stuff?
Steadfast Jennifer had to die because she had realistic baggage, a past so typical. How it played out is almost sociological cliché. Whatever her body count, be it 2 or 200, assuming her virginal was quixotic at best and really naive at worst. It wasn't her fault he couldn't handle her past, nor was it his exactly, since he had little socialization and untempered expectations as a result. What I would call a man too damaged for most young women to take on as a project, no matter how hopeful, Jennifer was probably ill-equipped to be his emotional support when he was so very broken.
Go away.
Yeesh, thinking of Ricky in those terms, he was also the height of selfish. Latching onto anyone while crushed under the burden of so much unprocessed maladjustment could only lead to heartache. Even so, there's no shortage of women lining up for charismatic hunks, with past trauma needing massaging, among other things.
Hey, as long as they're consenting adults.
The problem was that Jennifer wasn't only superficially vivacious, her beauty of the skin-deep variety. She really cared, opening her up to a ton of hurt. Had Ricky not blown it so irrevocably, she probably would have stuck by him, giving him endless chances to redeem himself, and even justified and defended his negative traits, because, love conquers all.
I don't have time for these shenanigans.
Still, despite being hoodwinked by a handsome face and killer physique, in other ways she possessed a touch more depth and understanding, revealed with a couple of throwaway lines.
Saw your dad at the club. He said he hardly sees you anymore.
Like he cares.
Shouldering her own resentments towards the underside of her privileged life, and the daddy she felt didn't care about her, she was an uptown girl who recognized something in that world that made her reject it, and open her horizons to the greater human experience. Too bad that turned out to be such a bad thing. It validated anyone who thought she should remain beholden to family. Were there expectations she couldn't live with? A push toward propriety? Encouragement to be someone she wasn't? Hoops to jump through for sake of appearance? A woman's relationship with her father oftentimes plays a major role in the men she allows in her life. It makes you wonder what kind of guy Jennifer's dad was, that not only had she gone for the most part no contact with him, but persisted in being open to the amorous affections of men who proved terrible for her, each playing their part in making hers a short life.
Yeah. I know.
It lays bare that she was also a victim of a life of pitfalls, despite it being one that by outward appearances was far superior to that of Ricky, a contrast to Chip, who obviously enjoyed silver spoon treatment. What did Ricky and Chip have in common besides blonde hair, smoldering looks, and hot rides? Both possessed pervasive personalities. They were real take-charge types, though Billy seemed to, for a time, hide the more forceful elements of his dominant side.
You're really starting to get to me.
But women pick up on the implicit and tantalizing excitement of a bad boy, and that thing she sensed was different about Ricky was his simmering volatility, his constant readiness to kill, burbling beneath the surface, a disheveled thing wearing his skin that had his back more to his detriment than his benefit, demonstrated when his life spiraled into a murder spree. Unfortunately, she mistook the demon thing riding shotgun in his psyche for intrigue, and that got her over the hump of instant attraction. Emphasis on hump. It's weird how that works. Luckily for him, the courtship was brief, which maybe should have been a clue Jennifer wasn't a virgin, but then the fantasy of love at first sight does include a lot of amorous behavior. They are in love after all, and going to be together forever, so why not indulge in fun-time bedroom frolics ASAP?
Blasphemer!
Ricky was always at a disadvantage because he could never keep his real self far enough behind the good feelings for a lasting commitment to work. After all, illusions of presumed perfection in regard to the object of an expedient love connection do have the power to fuel projections attempting to match and reflect the unreal standard of honeymoon period thinking. But for how long can a jaguar pretend to be a house cat?
That was my problem.
He was only able to conceal his true colors until set off by truths he found too unsettling, which in this case was the extent of his girlfriend's previous sex life. But it could be any of a number of personal bugaboos that crumbled his pedestalization of her, although a lesser infraction might have led to an inflammatory breakup, instead of all-out death and destruction.
Too many people get away with shit like that.
Guileless Chip so basely and crudely broached his backseat tryst with Jennifer that at the very least, he should have expected to get punched in the face. It doesn't matter if you have a whole team of high-priced lawyers on retainer, at the ready to sue. A lot of dudes don't care in the moment, and will break bones. Really showed how privilege made Chip a chump, way too willing to fly off at the mouth.
This is what you ended up with?
It's really no wonder that learning such a putz did the bunny dance with Jennifer was a bit galling. I get it. If my wife made the beast with two backs with Chip, that isn't something I would likely take lightly. But learning such a thing wouldn't lead to a killing spree. I would maybe question her taste and judgment, but I digress.
Well, I'm sincerely glad to hear that, for all our sakes.
Between being a knockout, a sweetheart, up for defending her man, and clearly devoted up to a reasonable point, if she wasn't enough to get Ricky on the straight and narrow, no one had the sway, because she should have been enough. Plenty for a dude who literally had nothing by way of romantic love, until she entered his life with a collision. In a perfect world, without certain precipitators, Ricky might have faked normalcy forever. But then fake it till you make it doesn't apply to those with psyches, so splintered all semblance of normalcy is a mask. Even when Ricky was seemingly happy, that inner demonic psycho of his was lurking, at a moment's notice prepared to kill, well, anyone who got in the way of Ricky getting what he wanted, even if that was just choking the recipient of his pointless rage.
Punishment. Discipline.
Hoisting Jennifer up as some kind of martyr for her dating mistakes, the film also seems to make a stark proclamation. Don't date someone who grew up in an orphanage or the foster system. They're too damaged. Don't be with someone from a lower class upbringing. They can too easily prove classless, even if they can pretend for a time. Don't date boys who ride motorcycles. What a sad message. Stay in your lane, in your tax bracket, background economic status, and in a standard automobile. There's too much of a separation to establish common ground with the poors, or underprivileged, or motorcycle riders. It's like saying not to adopt shelter pets for baseless reasons. So complete BS.
You're getting real close.
People have to be taken on an individual basis, like pets. And it's likely that most, in fact nearly all, are plenty good and more than adequate. Find a big leather-bound biker covered in tattoos, take him home, and I'm sure you'll be delightfully surprised.
Okay, time for bed, sweeties. Come on.
Can I bring a biker with me to tell me stories?
No, you may not.
Please?
Just one!
No.
But the notion of such messaging, well, everything presented in this video really, but this in particular, maybe treads ridiculously far into the territory of baseless speculation, because this wasn't a film with any social commentary agenda, clearly. In fact, in case you haven't noticed, it isn't what most would consider a conventionally good movie at all.
What?
It does, however, have an infectious quality.
I'm beginning to like this picture.
I think that's a good thing, because however bad this one is considered for basically being a clip film held together with Ricky's ongoing story, it could have been so much worse. Composed purely, or is it composted, of refurbished clips from the first entry. When director Lee Harry was hired for his editing chops, to slice and dice the first film and make it a tossed salad with whatever splash of dressing he thought would work, he insisted on making as much original movie as possible, with what little budget he had. For that, I am very happy, because Ricky is a hilarious character, always ready with a line delivered as a quip.
But hey, that's life.
And Jennifer was a sweet, bubbly young lady who made an unfortunate choice in Lovers. A precursor to easy background checks, it demonstrates how in the modern day it's easy to take for granted how simple it is to get a good sense of someone with just their name and a credit card. Had she known the extent of her potentially volatile boyfriend's trauma, she probably wouldn't have taken him to a film sensationalizing the horrible events of his life. You don't take Sidney Prescott to the new stab flick. Even if she hadn't sought a professional background check, these days she could have done her own legwork and research.
Sorry to bother you.
Forget we were ever here.
This really exemplifies the benefit of being able to do a cursory search of a prospective suitor. You can haunt their social media, or weigh if it's a red flag if they don't have an online identity. When this film came out, a guy like Ricky could emerge as if out of nowhere, his history mysterious and vague. Had Jennifer been able to gain a deeper insight, she would have at least known she was dealing with someone who could be carrying some heavy past trauma. Since their attraction was instant and powerful, even knowing more truths of his past wouldn't have deterred her. Such is the power of love or lust or lusty love.
Aren't you being a little cynical? Yeah. Well, all's fair in love.
Ricky was clearly a good guy, just misunderstood, the victim of an unfair shake, good-hearted but followed by an unfair dark cloud.
You only wanted to help. I appreciate the effort, though.
Could it ever have gone right enough he wasn't eventually set off? From that kismet moment when they first met and experienced once-in-a-lifetime magnetism, was she doomed? The sad truth is, a good woman can't always fix a bad man. Sometimes it gets them killed. But hey, the sex was fiery and fulfilling, so trade-offs.
Oh, Lord.
Go away.
Well, I've about reached the end of the rope, so I won't leave you dangling. Thanks for putting up with my blatant conjecture. Please share any refutations, opinions, accusations, japes, or other ideas in the comments below. And please join me for whatever I'm up to next time. Bye now!
Bye, creepy man! Keep it creepy!
He's a weird guy.
Goodbye! I think you'll enjoy this. $31. Merry Christmas.